This week on Weekly Wonder, we're going to show you just a taste of how you could experience horses across the globe with equestrian travel opportunities. With a growing trend towards adventure and environmentally conscious travel, what better way to see the world than atop a horse? The list is endless when it comes to horse riding holiday options, from ranching in North America, following the coffee trail in South America, doing dressage in Spain and Portugal, Icelandic pony adventures and watching the Northern Lights, a 1,000-kilometer race in Mongolia on unbroke wild horses called the Mongol Derby, swimming with thoroughbreds on the beach in Indonesia, riding brumbies in the Australian outback, fox hunting in Ireland and Scotland, and of course, the one on every horse person's bucket list, going on safari in Africa. Well, Horse Bytes had the lucky opportunity to speak with one of the world's leading horse riding safari outfitters from Kenya, Offbeat Safaris, to get a rundown on what it's like to ride through thousands of wildebeests and gallop alongside a herd of giraffes during the sub-Saharan animal migration. Simon Kenyon has been a horse guide most of his life, working in Botswana, then Argentina, and finally back in Kenya, where he and his wife recently took over Offbeat Safaris. Jacob van Plessen, Austrian by name, Argentinian by nature, is a modern-day gaucho and horse whisperer. A few years back, he teamed up with Simon after having spent many years as a guide himself in Kenya's Masai Mara to bring adventure equestrian safaris to the next level. We caught up with them to get some insight on the magic of connecting with the wilderness atop a horse. All right, Simon, why a horse riding safari? You know, a lot of people will just go on a regular Jeep one. What is the difference between the two, and why horse riding?
Well, I think it's a much greater adventure. You have a far greater connection and insight into the wilderness that you've come to see. The animals react to you. You know, when you're watching a herd of giraffes, you know, walking past you from the back of a horse, you get a serious feeling of how big they are, how magnificent they are, which is slightly lost sometimes when you're in a vehicle and there's this metal box around you. You get a real deeper connection, far more adventurous. So,
can you get closer to the animals?
For some of them, definitely. Some of them, sort of the plains game and all of the grazers and everything, definitely they kind of think you're one of them, so you can ride in amongst all these big herds.
Tell us a little bit about the horses themselves on these horse riding safaris. You know, if you're going from riding a sport horse to now a safari horse, what can one expect?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good question. We breed all of our own horses. So for the last 30 years, we've got lines of horses that we believe work. They're fit and athletic, incredibly sure-footed and sound-minded. You know, they see a lot. They're exposed to a lot of different sensory overloads, but they're unbelievably relaxed and good at their jobs.
How much experience as a rider do you need to have in order to go on one of these horse riding safaris?
Yeah, I think obviously experience is always very important. You have to be experienced.
Not for beginners.
You don't go on a motorbike trip without knowing how to drive one. It's just we have taken non-experienced riders, but they normally end up in the car.
So that is an option. You could follow. You could bring someone that doesn't ride.
Absolutely, and we suggest that if we see that they might be more comfortable in the car than on the horse. But to be honest, like the more experienced you are, the more fun you're going to have on these trips.
So there's many horse professionals that basically say they want to get away from horses when they're on vacation and going on holiday. You know, what do you say to those in order to sort of change their mind and convince them to come on one of these horse riding safaris?
Well, I think people who spend all their time riding in their profession, it's actually a sort of as Jacob just said, it's a means. It's probably the best means to see the country you're going to see. It's far more. If you want to go on safari and you like horses, then you might as well do it from a horse because you can get a far deeper sort of, like I said before, connection with the wilderness. You can hear, you can feel, you can sense what the wildlife is doing, and get a sort of big picture of the countryside, and the scenery, and the views that you can't really get from a vehicle.
Are horses ever spooked at the?
Yeah, I mean, they are incredibly well schooled, and they see a lot of the wildlife all the time. But if a sort of warthog comes running out of the burrow, they're not going to just stand there and watch it. They'll definitely turn around and have a look.
What's a typical day on safari look like?
Well, we try and get up nice and early when the sun's coming up, so you're out when the animals are most active. Kenya's sort of on the equator, so we don't get, never gets too hot or too cold, so we have very temperate weather. So we probably ride for 2 or 3 hours in the morning, seeing what we can find, and then we'll come back and have a big breakfast, and then probably head out in a jeep to try and look for cheetahs or something like that. And then again in the evening, we'll probably ride out and find a pretty epic view and stop for a gin and tonic.
It's an adventure trip. It's not for everyone. Some people like to go and lie on the beach to relax on the holiday, but this is like a completely different experience.
All right, well, this sounds incredible. I know I want to go. I'm sure a lot of our viewers want to go. How does one actually go about planning one of these trips?
So our trips in Kenya, we're offbeat riding safaris, and then we work with a fantastic booking agent called Zara's Planet. They organise riding trips all over the world, and they are real professionals. They can help you from the moment you have an inkling of an idea all the way through to when you get home. They can help you book the whole thing and help you through all the steps to make sure that you guys can get there and have an awesome adventure.
Well, that seems like a dream come true for most equestrian enthusiasts, and I know I can't imagine a better way to experience our world.